This episode is brought to you by my favorite podcasting software, Riverside, and I've got a 20% off deal so you can try it for yourself. Whether you're on episode 1 of your podcast or you have over 200 episodes like me, let me just say the right interview recording software makes all the difference. Riverside makes it simple to record and edit podcasts, quickly fine-tune post-production, and make great poll clips for easy reuse. We all know that repurposing content is the name of the game in 2023, and clip markers let me save things in real time to easily grab parts of the episode and create short-form videos for reels or other teaser content for the episode post-production. So there's no more fumbling with a pen and paper mid-interview to write yourself a post-it note that reminds you that your guest said something cool during minute 24 of the episode. On top of that, it's so easy for guests to use too. I've been a guest on more than 50 podcasts at this point, so I've seen it all. And both as a podcast guest and a podcast host, Riverside is my favorite. The quality and ease of use is so good, I've even been able to repurpose my podcast episodes as videos and finally get on YouTube this year. So to try it for yourself and get 20% off, head to elizabethmccravey.com/Riverside and use the code Elizabeth at checkout. Make sure to share your first clip with me and tell me what you think. Again, that's elizabethmccravey.com/Riverside, and that link is in the show notes. Hey guys, I'm Elizabeth McCravey, a website designer and business coach for entrepreneurs and your host for the Breakthrough Brand podcast, the show that's all about pulling back the curtain on how to actually build a successful business. I don't skim the surface around here. If you want a deep dive into the nitty-gritty details of what it takes to run a successful business and stand out in a crowd, you're in the right place. After creating a multiple six-figure-a-year website design business in my 20s, I'm ready to share everything I've learned and everything I'm still learning because I believe the keys to building a thriving business should never be a secret. Here you'll find episodes that are actionable, direct, and fun, like friends chatting business over coffee, and a fresh, honest take on the reality of being an entrepreneur. If you're ready to master online marketing, branding, website design, mindset, and business strategy, then this is the podcast for you. It's time to build your breakthrough brand. Let's do this. All right, so if you've ever wanted a peek behind the scenes of a super successful physical product business, today's your opportunity. I'm chatting with my friend Amy Gabriel, the creator of Lippy Clip, about how she's scaled her business, what the day-to-day life is like running her business as a mom and as a seminary student as well, building a team, automating, how she got started, how she grew, different distribution channels. And we talk about so many different things. So Amy scaled a $10 product to a full-time business with a team of more than a dozen women. And in 2021, she worked really hard to automate her business so that she could pursue another dream, which we're going to talk through the why behind that, but of going back to seminary. So now Amy balances running Lippy Clip while pursuing a master's in theology. And a fun little backstory. So Amy and I met in 2018 when we were both on the success story panel at Christy Wright's Business Boutique event. And if you've been a longtime listener of this podcast, you've heard me talk about that event, how fun it was for me. I mean, that's definitely like at the very end of this, I'll ask Amy what was one of her pinch me moments in our business. And that's one of the ones she mentions. It was for me as well. Super fun time, but we connected then. And I still remember us connecting over email once we found out we were like the two people on this panel. We like saw each other's name. We looked each other up, and we got together before the event when she flew into Nashville for it. And we were practicing together our answers to questions. I remember us both like voice recording each other and practicing interviewing each other and giving each other feedback. And we became fast friends in that whirlwind that was public speaking in front of 3,000 women together. And that was my first time doing like any major public speaking for my business. I think it might have been Amy's as well. So we were fast friends there. And then fast forward, we were in the same mastermind and got connected again longer at a retreat the next year. And I've just loved following Amy, learning from her, seeing her business grow and cheering her on. So anyway, no matter what kind of business you have, whether you are a service provider, a physical product business like Amy, or a digital product, I just want to encourage you, there is something here for you in Amy's story. She's an inspiration. She's built a super successful business. She's a strong woman of faith. And I think you are going to absolutely love our conversation. So here's Amy to introduce herself.
I'm so excited to be here. I am a wife. I've been married for 18 years and I have two kids, two teenagers. I have a 15-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl. We live just outside of Orlando, Florida. We've lived here for 13 years now. My husband is a mental health counselor and has a private practice here. I run a business called Lippy Clip, which we're going to talk all about, which is a product-based business. And then recently I decided that I was going to scale my business to a part-time job for me so that I could go to graduate school, which has been a long-term big dream of mine. So that's a little bit about me.
I love that. Amy, I forgot your husband is a counselor. I knew that, but literally forgot. And that's, I think you know that Adam is in school right now, finishing up graduate school for mental health counseling too.
Oh, I did know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and let's get into your story a bit because that even makes me think, because I know you started Lippy Clip when he was in graduate school.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
Like many years ago now. So, okay, tell me about what life was like before what you were doing before Lippy Clip. Because it's been 11 years ago, right, that you started it?
Right.
Ish?
Yes.
Okay.
We will celebrate 11 years this year.
Amazing.
So I went to college and graduated college with a nursing degree. So I was an RN, a pediatric nurse for 10 plus years. So through all my 20s, our first 10 years of marriage, I was a nurse. And then my husband decided to go back to graduate school to get his master's in counseling, a lifelong dream of his, something he had wanted to do and attempted to do a number of times, but just didn't work out. So he was finally doing that. But by this time we had two little kids. I think they were 3 and 4 at the time that he went back to graduate school. And I was working full-time as a nurse, sustaining our family and carrying our family through his schooling. And if you don't know anything about getting your master's as a counselor, there's a school involved, couple of years of school involved, but also there's a student internship, which may or may not be paid. And then there's a registered internship, which is usually paid at a modest salary, and then you're licensed. So it's a very, very lengthy process. But anyway, he was in school and we were just constantly juggling childcare. I mean, there were times when he would have to go to class and he would drop the kids off at my office and I would put them in a patient room with a couple of popsicles for an hour or two until somebody could get there and pick them up. And we were really struggling and we were passing each other in the garage. I would come home and he would go to work or he'd go to school or vice versa. And so it was just a struggle. And I loved the job of nursing. I loved caring for kids and their families, but the schedule was just exhausting for our family. And I didn't know what to do. And I was working nights and weekends and all the odd shifts just to try to make it work. So I just kept thinking, like, how could I find a flexible job in nursing? And this was before we had a lot of the work from home jobs. This was when most all the nursing friends I had worked in a hospital or some kind of clinic setting. There was not the flexibility that there is now. This was probably 2011, 2012. And so my grandmothers had always taught me to sew growing up. So I grew up sewing lots of different things, everything from, gifts and little trinkets to my grandmother sewed my prom dress even. So they were pretty accomplished seamstresses, both of them, my dad's mom and my mom's mom. But my mom's mom had a really strong entrepreneurial spirit, and I watched her grow her sewing business to a pretty sustainable income and a pretty successful livelihood. And that always just impressed me as a teenager. I was so captivated by how she did that. So in the back of my mind, I just kept thinking, how could I do something like that? Like I saw grandma do, how could I do something and, get extra income? So this was kind of in the beginning, the early days of Etsy. Well, I would say not the early days of Etsy, but Etsy was still an up and coming platform for a lot of people. So I started sewing come home from work at night and would just sew for a few hours to calm myself down and let the adrenaline crash. And then I just started putting things on Etsy and it started selling. And I was so grateful for that. I didn't have a business degree. I didn't know really how to take great, bright, white background photos. I had to learn just kind of all that through trial and error. But over time, things started growing, and my husband's academic regimen was getting harder and harder. And so he was getting closer and closer to graduation, and the scheduling was still difficult for us. So the Lord just blessed it and it just grew. And so eventually I was able to go back to part-time nursing, and then part-time was doing the Etsy job, and that was making ends meet. And then I think it was 2014, I quit my nursing job altogether. I haven't worked as a nurse since 2014, and I've run Lippy Clip full time. And so my husband went through his registered internship and then got licensed and worked in a private practice. And so it's just been this beautiful story of how the Lord took something really small from my childhood, or seemingly small, but something that was really impactful in my childhood. And, I thought I'd be a nurse for my entire adult professional life, but God had other plans, and I'm so glad he did. It's not what I would have written. It's not a story I could have dreamed to have written, but he did. So that's kind of how it all happened.
Interrupting this episode with a suggestion for the small business owners listening. Ever wonder what you should do for healthcare when you and your spouse are both self-employed, so there's no work-provided health insurance to participate in? Well, when my husband Adam joined me in the entrepreneurial job space over 4 years ago, we joined Christian Healthcare Ministries instead of getting traditional health insurance. And it was the best decision for us, especially in these years of growing and raising a family while also running multiple businesses. CHM is a health cost-sharing ministry and is a faith-based alternative to health insurance. We did tons of research before choosing CHM, and if you know me and Adam, you know we are all about doing the math when making big or small financial decisions. And even though it's not insurance, CHM shares 100% of eligible medical bills, which is more than the typical 70 or 80% of medical bills paid for by insurance companies. All sharing is determined by the CHM guidelines, which you can check out before and after joining. And for the mamas and mamas to be listening, you truly cannot find a better healthcare option for maternity care. I had a vaginal delivery and a C-section and birth center care and hospital care between my 2 pregnancies and births, and it was all 100% shared for. And outside of birth, we've had our share of emergency room visits and procedures as a family, and those costs were all shared by members at Christian Healthcare Ministries, leaving us only paying our monthly contribution. CHM is less expensive month to month than insurance, and because there's no network, you can choose your care with whichever providers best fit your family. I seriously just cannot recommend Christian Healthcare Ministries enough. You've got to check them out. Go to elizabethmccravy.com/CHM for more information. Also putting that link in the show notes, elizabethmccravy.com/CHM. Now back to the episode. I love your story so much. It's fun here. I feel like I haven't heard you share that in so long, because we both at Business Boutique, I remember sitting on that stage with you and you sharing all that. Yeah. So, okay. I have a few follow-up questions. One thought I had is you talked about that of you have the nursing background, which is very science, academic, and you literally have created a product and you're sewing and designing. Do you feel like you're more of a creative or more of an analytical science brain? Or do you feel like both kind of together?
I think both. I've always been really good at math and science. I've always loved, especially math. But I also have always had a creative side. I'm left-handed, and I feel like that always lends somewhat to more creativity. Yeah. If you believe that right brain, left brain stuff, I don't know. But I've always had a creative side. I've always loved just making things. I've always thought, if I could make something it's so therapeutic for me. It's so healing for me. It's self-care for me. Yeah. So I think it's both, but I think there's a lot of creativity in nursing that people don't realize. Especially with pediatric patients, you have to get really creative about how you're going to tell this kid that you're going to start their IV and how you're going to get that done with minimal pain to that child. And there's a lot of creativity that goes in and teaching patients follow-up care. If you have a new onset diabetic, you've got to get creative about how to teach them how to manage their insulin and how to regulate all of those levels in their body. So there is creativity in nursing. I think the biggest thing that I took from my nursing career to running a product-based business was the way that nurses are taught to juggle and to what we call triage all the things. So they teach you very early on how to determine which patient gets care first. And there's all these different criteria for it that we won't go into here, but it taught me how to have a bunch of different things in my head and know what needs to happen first. And I think I still use those skills today. I come in and I think, okay, there's emails, there's orders to ship, there's things to get into production, there's things I need to place orders for, what needs to happen first. And that's a skill that I'm really grateful for that carried over into entrepreneurial world for me.
Yeah, that's cool to see the overlap. With Lippy Clip, so you started out with a lot of different products besides the product that is now Lippy Clip. Mm-hmm. And I even remember like years ago, you even had the business kind of almost under a different name more so because of that, because you had a lot more products. How did you, first of all, I guess here's first part of the question. I wish I had, for people watching YouTube, my Lippy clip visually, but it's downstairs in my car keys.
I don't have one
to show you guys. Yeah, the visual, but explain maybe what that product is. And I also would love to know where you decided to make that like the sole product with obviously different SKUs to it, but like how did that come about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the Lippy Clip is a lip balm holder. We say it is a clever yet simple product that you never know you needed until you have one and you can't live without it. It holds all standard size lip balm like Chapstick, Blistex, Burt's Bees, Sun Bum, Moroccan Magic, Carmex, all of those slip easily in there. It's got really great hardware that we searched very, very high and low for good hardware that was sturdy but not bulky. And so the hardware, you can clip it onto your key ring. You can clip it onto your purse hardware. They're great for kids' backpacks. They're great for sports bags, diaper bag, yoga bag, belt loop, anywhere you want it. The Lippy Clip is we call it our signature product. And so we did rename our business. I think it was in 2018 or 2019 when we renamed it just to Lippy Clip. And the reason for that was because, sales data, the Lippy Clip was standing head and shoulders above every other product. It was what we were known for. It was what our repeat customers were coming back to buy again. We were getting more and more requests for different varieties of prints in the Lippy Clip. So it just became really clear that was where we needed to go. That was, when they say, you make 80% of your money comes from 20% of your products, that was the 20%. And so it was in my mind of thinking, okay, if I'm going to run this with no business training and I'm still learning as I go. And, I'm a lifelong learner, but also like I still have a lot to learn. I'm going to hone in on one product and I'm just going to make this my lane and I'm going to run in it. And so we made that decision. And so we rebranded everything to just be under the banner of Lippy Clip. We trademarked the name Lippy Clip. We trademarked the design logo Lippy Clip and put in all the intellectual property protection that we were able to. And so then that's where we've been ever since.
That's awesome. And how did you come up with making that product? Like, what did that look like when you first made Lippy Clip, like the first one?
At that time, my husband was in grad school, and I remember he had just gotten home from school, and I had been in the back sewing room, which was in the back of our house. And I came out to tell him hi. This was probably 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. The kids were asleep. And I said, okay, so here's what I made tonight while you were at school. And there was a couple of other random little giftable things. We weren't making I wasn't making dresses or anything like that. I was just making little cute little purses or cosmetic bags or things like that. And I said, oh, and I made this little thing that, you can stick your chapstick in. And he looked at it and he kind of laughed. He was like, you think that'll sell? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm just gonna put it up there with all the other stuff tomorrow and see what happens. So it really, coming up with it was just kind of I had a sewing machine. I had a portion of a bedroom that was my sewing room. And I had a lot of fabric and just different sewing supplies that my grandmothers had all given to me from their sewing rooms. And so it was just kind of like putting things together. And that's where I just feel like it was the Lord showing me that night that this is kind of just guiding my hands and saying, this is what we're doing. And just that creative spirit just coming out. Like that's where my juices were just flowing. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, I want to talk more. We're going to get more into the creating product, scaling product, and like the physical product business side of things. But I want to talk for a minute. You decided to go back to seminary when you are like the CEO of a very like amazing, successful business. You're like, hey, I'm going to like pause on that, go back to seminary. Not pause on it, but more like automate, which we're going to talk about. But what made you decide to go back to seminary?
Yeah, so I had gotten involved at my local church and was teaching some women's Bible studies. And through that and through just some other reading I was doing, there was this fire lit inside me for understanding the Bible. And I grew up in a Christian home, became a Christian early on in my life. And I would say that I've always followed Jesus. But I just had this, I can't describe it other than just a burning desire to know what the Bible was really saying. I wanted to understand, what did this mean in the Greek or the Hebrew? What was the cultural context of this when this was unfolding? What did Jesus mean when he said this? Or what did it mean when they did this in the temple in the Old Testament? Like, just a desire for depth. And so taught Bible studies. I did Bible studies. I was just reading and listening to anything I could get my hands on. And my husband, who actually went to seminary very early in our marriage, he just looked at me and he said, this is unusual. This is obviously something, God is doing something in you, and you need to think about going to seminary. So there is a seminary in Orlando, and they were offering some very, very affordable classes for women. It was like a once a month kind of thing. And there wasn't really any homework, so it was a low commitment, so I could just go. And so I signed up and went one semester with that, and went with a friend of mine. And I remember after the first class, I got in the car and I just laid my head on the steering wheel and I just said, I need to find a way to get back here. I've got to find a way to make this work. I've got to find a way to have this in my life.
Yes. Well, seriously, I love hearing that you felt called back to it and like listened to that and went and did it. I think that's so cool, and cool that you have a business that gave you the flexibility to do that. I'd love to talk about like how you got Lippy Clip to a place where you're not needed so much hours wise in the business, that you can kind of unplug a bit to do something like going back to seminary. How, like, can you kind of explain, I guess, what a week is like for you with Lippy Clip and like how you're able to do that?
Sure. So first, I want to be crystal clear that the first probably 7 or 8 years, I worked full time in the business. I worked, whatever full time is for a business owner, whether that's 40 hours a week or 60 hours a week. I couldn't quantify an hour count to it, but I definitely did all of it, a lot of it by myself those first few years. And then as this desire for seminary came up, and I also, like, I have no idea what I'm going to do with seminary. I don't have any career goals with it, which is very difficult for me as a goal-oriented person. I don't have a career path ahead of me. I just love it. I love learning there. I love the professors. I love what I'm studying. I just love it. And so I take that to be something that the Lord has put in my heart. And so I'm going to pursue it until he closes the door. So I love what I'm doing there, but at the same time, I knew that my family still needed the income from Lippy Clip, that I had grown it. I didn't just want to let it go. I'd grown it to where it was. So what I did is I spent most of 2021 doing 3 big things. And those 3 things were, the first thing was I decided to figure out what I could say no to. And so in addition to the Lippy Clip in 2021, we still had a few other of those random products that I had kept around that were doing okay. They weren't as strong as the Lippy Clip, but they were doing okay. So I let those go. It's not that they weren't making money, they were, but they were taking our focus away, and they weren't enough to keep around. So I let those go. The second thing I did was I delegated out what was I doing that was taking a lot of my time that I could easily have one of my existing team members already do. So I actually did not hire anyone new in this process. I just maximized the team members I already had. And I talked with them and asked them, what do you really enjoy doing? What do you feel like you could do quickly and repetitively? It was truly a process of that. One of those things was we publish products. Every time we release new products, we publish them to a number of different platforms or sales channels. And so I had been doing that. And I said, I'm going to take over just our flagship store, our primary Shopify store. I'm going to handle all of that because I want to still stay in that. But I delegated the rest of those out. And that's a big chunk of my time every week was that delegation. And then the third thing I did is I invested in some really good systems. I invested in good email marketing that synced with our text marketing. Before that had not been synced. So a lot of these things are things that I probably should have done already or probably should have done earlier, but I just got hyper focused on streamlining things like never before. I learned how to just get all of our things on Shopify really automated as far as our collections and what page it was going to publish to, the funnels for our customers, for new customers, for win backs, for abandoned carts. I got really focused on all of that. One of my favorite quotes is by Gretchen Rubin, and she says, what you do every day matters more than what you do every once in a while. And I took that really seriously. And so I just have these, and when we were working with Amber Housley and her mastermind, she also really encouraged me. She said, you need to get these rhythms and these systems down. And that was in 2019. And I had no idea that 2 years later, I would be really hardcore implementing a lot of her advice I have now now I have a Monday task list. So to answer your question, as far as what a weekly routine looks like, this will help with that. Monday is my hardcore Lippy Clip day. I mean, I spend more hours on Monday than any other day of the week on Lippy Clip, and I really try to set it up for the rest of the week. Social media scheduling, pre-recording things for Instagram, going ahead and getting product photography done, getting products published, but leaving them in draft mode until they're ready to go to active mode, making sure our inventory counts are all ready, ordering supplies, like all of that happens on Monday. Monday's just a huge work day. Tuesday, this semester, my classes are on Wednesdays. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are mostly study days, but I have the flexibility on those days. If I need to do a meeting or I need to do something for Lippy Clip, I can do that. Or if my family needs something, that really opens up a day for that. Doctor's appointments, dentists, stuff like that. And then Friday, I'm back in the Lippy Clip office, but I'm usually there just for a half a day, just kind of wrapping up loose ends. Sometimes I'll have bigger projects that I tackle on Fridays. It's kind of my project day. If there's a new web page I'm wanting to rebuild or a program I'm wanting to start, like something to do with our influencers, something I need to collaborate with another one of our team members with, we'll do that usually on Fridays. So those are the routines that I've set up now. It does change every semester for me because my classes change as far as what day they are. And then with kids, the summer always looks different because my kids are teenagers. And so they're home for the summer. And I've got just a few summers left with both of my kids at home before they go to college. So I really try to savor those. So on a yearly basis, I work really hard September to May to make sure that as much as possible is done for Lippy Clip in those months so that June, July, and the first few weeks of August can be spent as much as possible with my kids. Now, I still go into the office on Mondays. I still have a solid work day, and I'll work from home some when my kids are home. But I also really try to be intentional about doing the bulk of our big projects. If it's a website redesign or, redoing our product packaging, that kind of stuff needs to happen in the school year.
Yeah, that's cool hearing what you've done to systematize to be able to go back to school, what the week looks like. And I think sometimes it is like you just need that motivation. Like for you, it was like, hey, I want to go back and do seminary. I don't necessarily have another career. It's like you're pursuing a passion separate from your business. And that motivation and that setup allowed you to like intentionally do some things like more automating, more systems in the business, letting products go, all that, which is incredible. I know you talked a lot about your team members. Mm-hmm. I would love to know what your team is like now, what it looked like when you hired your first team member, and how did you know like when it was time for you to stop being the only person doing everything and getting some help?
Right. So right now we have 3 seamstresses. We have 2 people in the office with me on Mondays, and then one of them is with me on Fridays. Shipping, they're our shipping team, inventory management team. They kind of just keep the office running. And then I have 4 people who do marketing. So some of them do, some of them I put it all under marketing. I would put it under operations would probably be a better word for it. So I have one person who runs our TikTok because I'm too old to figure out TikTok.
I'm too old to figure out TikTok too.
So I hired somebody to do that. And then my sister actually works for us and manages a lot of our wholesale accounts. She manages our influencer affiliate program. She manages a lot of our photo library that we make available to wholesale accounts, things like that. And then I have somebody who publishes the products to all the platforms and all the sales channels. And then I have a graphic designer.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it looks. When I first started, I think I ran it for a solid 3 years with zero help, other than my husband, who would graciously come home from school at 10:30 at night and then help me package up orders that had to go out the next day. He was so kind to do that. But I quickly knew that that was not going to be sustainable, nor was his favorite thing to do when he got home after a very long day. So I hired out. And when I hired, I don't remember where I got this piece of advice, but it's a pretty common piece of business advice, is that I always hired for character. I hired for the person. I didn't hire for the job. Knowing that I could teach someone how to ship. I could probably teach someone how to sew for the most part. I could teach someone how to manage inventory, but I can't teach someone how to be joyful. I can't teach someone how to love their job. I can't teach that. So hiring for character. I also have had really good luck with people who are already highly motivated or high capacity. Some of my best seamstresses, and I'm not talking that they sew hundreds of Lippy Clips a week, hundreds of them. My best seamstresses also are stay-at-home moms and homeschool somewhere between 3 and 5 children. I mean, to me, it just blows my mind that they get that much done. And some of them have other jobs they do. Some of them have, they help manage their husband's business or different things like that. But they're already very high capacity women. And they've done really well. Some of our longest standing seamstresses are women like that. But yeah, I look for people who are motivated, who want to work, who, need some extra cash and are looking for a flexible job. Those have been some things that have really helped me find a team that has stuck with me for a really, really long time.
Hey guys, did you know that my main thing is actually designing and creating website templates? If you want a website that's easy to customize, strategic, smart, and ready to grow with your business, you've got to check out Elizabeth McCravy's shop. I'm constantly adding new templates to the mix, from full site templates with all the pages you need, including a full blog, to simpler add-ons that you can add to any Showit website. You can use the code BBPodcast for 10% off your template and head to elizabethmccravy.com/shop to check out my entire collection. That's BBPodcast for 10% off. And I want to read you 2 recent customer testimonials. So Melinda recently said, before Elizabeth McCravy's shop, my website was boring and frustrating. And now my website is beautiful and full of opportunity. Love hearing that. And Vicky recently said, the thing I love most about it is that it looks like a custom website I've spent thousands on. No one would know it's a template, and it's so easy to customize and make my own. I've customized many different templates over the years, and nothing has been as easy or enjoyable as this. So you heard it there. Great feedback. So go to elizabethmccravy.com/shop to check out the entire template collection. Link is also in the show notes. Now back to the episode. Yeah, that's amazing. You have a larger team than most people listening, and than most people listening might even have at any point. I mean, I would love to know though, because I'm sure you've had so much learning through that experience. I'm sure you've had some ups and downs with team members where things are hard. But now, like you started this out where you're the one sewing, you're the one doing everything for 3 years, like you just said. And now you're in more of like a leadership capacity. How have you learned to like lead a team and like to be the like head person and less like in the weeds?
Yeah, I think for my team, they all know that if something were to go crazy and we were to wake up and we were to have thousands of orders to ship tomorrow, that I would absolutely jump in the trenches with them. Like, I'm not going to sit in my office and record Instagram reels when there's orders to be shipped and you need my help. So I think always being willing, and my team knows that I'm willing to jump in. If we got a couple of summers ago, we had a huge order for a subscription box, and it was thousands and thousands of products, and it was more than my seamstresses could do. So I jumped in and I sewed, I don't remember how many, a couple hundred of them at least. And so them just knowing that they're not alone, that when they need me, I'm there. I'm going to jump in with them, that I'm not going to ask them to do anything that I haven't already done and that I'm not willing to do again. There's nothing in my business that I wouldn't be willing to do, whether it's cleaning the toilet in the office or sewing products or shipping for them. There's nothing that I would say I'm above that now, because I'm not, because my name is still on the business. It's still my business. And so I'm still more than willing to do that. So I think that just coming at it from a leadership standpoint of, yes, it's my business, and yes, I'm the leader, but we're a team. And so how can I help you do your job better? What do you need to be more efficient? Do you need better labels on all of our product inventory sleeves? Do we need to rearrange some things? What do we need to do to help you be able to be more successful and to ship an order with more success or in a more timely fashion? Sometimes I'll ask my team, what's slowing you down? And I don't mean that in like, why are you so slow? And I'm very careful in how I word it, but I say, what slowed you down today? And sometimes it's, well, I had to pause and package all of these products that didn't get packaged over the weekend because so-and-so didn't get them done, or maybe we just ran out of time or whatever. And I say, well, okay, let's find a way to get those packaged. What do I need to do? Do I need to package them for you if I have time to do that? Or do you need me to get somebody to package them for you? Things like that. So just being sensitive to where they're at and them always knowing that I'm willing to jump in at any moment.
That's a good kind of leadership of like, I'm not above anything. I'm right there with you. Yeah. And it's cool that you've been able to delegate. Like I would love to hear, I mean, you might not even have that much to say about this, but like how you just said that you hired someone to do TikTok and you're like, I'm not even going to like learn TikTok, which is so smart. Like that's not where your time is best served for you to be like, I'm going to go learn this new platform and go big on it. How did that work? Like how is that person and you working together as they try to grow the TikTok?
So that's actually interesting because I'm in my 40s, so I'm not like, I'm past the TikTok age. Maybe if you're in your 40s and you love TikTok, great, but I just don't. I just don't. So my sister, who's our marketing manager, she came to me and she said, hey, TikTok is really a big thing. You need to really consider getting on TikTok. This was a few years ago or whenever TikTok was rising. And I was like, okay, no, I'm not. And she said, well, actually, I have someone in mind that would be a great person for us to utilize in our TikTok platform. And would you be okay with doing a trial period? And so with this girl, she said, so my sister is her direct supervisor. I don't even really, which has been the first time we've done that in the business where somebody has been under me and under someone else before me. And so that's been really good. So we did a 30-day trial with her and my sister managed all of that. And then I just reviewed the content, gave some feedback on what I liked and what I didn't like. We wrote up her contract and she's been with us for over a year now. So it's been a really good, good fit. But yeah, that was something I said, I know from the get-go that this is not what I want to do, but if it's essential to the business or not essential, but if it's imperative or important, is something that we want to invest in, then let's absolutely find a way to make it happen.
I love that. And I think that's good for some people to hear. If like there's some things where it is like you need to know how to do it before you hire someone else to. And there's some things where it's like, hey, it just makes sense to like let someone else do that and figure it out. Who knows, like bring in like an expert, so to speak. Okay. I want to switch gears a little bit to talking about the side of selling physical products for just digital products even. So you started on Etsy and that was back when Lippy Clip was one of the products. You had a lot of other products. Now you have your own store on Shopify. You do wholesale. You're like everywhere, whether you're on Amazon, like you have you're all the places. So I guess a question for you is like, what's the breakdown between different sales channels if you don't mind sharing that, of like where are different sales coming from and what's the strategy and reasoning for being on multiple distribution channels versus just being like, I'm only selling on my own website, that sort of thing.
Right. So I would say, first of all, our flagship store, lippyclip.com, is where I invest all of the apps, all of the extras, all of the bonuses, all of the rewards points. That is where I always want customers to shop. I always want them to shop directly with us. That is always the goal. That is where I retain the highest profit margin. It's where our product looks the best. It's not the best, but it's where the website looks exactly how I want it to. That is where I want people to shop. But I also recognize that we have a large number of customers who found us first on Etsy and prefer to keep all their purchases on Etsy. And so they only shop with us on Etsy. And so for me to ask them to come from Etsy to our lippyclip.com website, they may not do that. Some of them may, but I may lose a good number of sales in that. So I've maintained a presence on Etsy from the beginning. I've gone back and forth with how to structure it all. And do I have everything there or do I just have seasonal stuff there? I've gone back and forth with that. But overall, keeping a presence on Etsy has been really beneficial to us. We're just known there. And we've had so many thousands of sales there that, in my opinion, it would not be smart to just let that platform go. In the same way, we have maintained a relationship with wholesale. That was something that I didn't really plan on, although I wouldn't be sad if it happened, but I wasn't seeking it out. But we had many, many years ago, there was a platform, a part of Etsy called Etsy Wholesale. And it's gone now. They discontinued it. But we were featured on the homepage of Etsy Wholesale for a season in 2016 or 2017, I think it was. And that really skyrocketed our wholesale. At that time, I really had only had one or two wholesale sales at that point. But when we were featured on the homepage, man, it went through the roof. And so I had to learn, okay, what do wholesale terms look like? What is this entire wholesale world? And so Etsy Wholesale was discontinued a couple of years ago. But since then, there's been been so many other wholesale platforms that have come out, like Fair is a big one, Abound is a big one. There's a couple of them that we try to maintain a presence on all of them. We have some that are really strong, and then we have some that may only get, a couple of orders a month, but we keep them because most of them are commission-based models. So we don't pay to be on there. We just pay when we get sales. So in my opinion, why wouldn't I stay there? But wholesale sustains our business pretty much January through August. We are a very seasonal business. If we did not have wholesale, we would probably only operate for seasonal items. So like holiday gifting seasons, we do see an uptick for teacher appreciation, Easter baskets, Valentine's Day, those kind of seasonal things when people are looking for gift items. But in general, wholesale carries our business. It's the bread and butter of our business for January through August, September. And then the last quarter, the quarter 4 of the year, is very, very strong retail. So we just have to pivot and adjust. We don't really pivot so much in our marketing. Our marketing is almost always towards the retail customer. But we do have to pivot in like, how many shipping boxes do I need to order for retail size? How many things do I need to order for retail versus wholesale during those seasons? Because it changes a lot.
That's cool. For someone who is starting a physical product business, would you say start on Etsy like you did in 2023? Or would you say immediately have your own website too? How would you, if you were doing it over right now, like what would you try to do?
If I was doing it over right now and I knew everything I know now, I would still tell somebody to start on Etsy. I would, because it is the easiest, quickest way to get your product up there. And because of the search algorithm in Etsy, you will get found probably more than you would get found on your own website, unless you already have an established social media following or something like that. But I would say start on Etsy. And then I would say as soon as you have the bandwidth, build your own Shopify website, build your email list for sure, build your text marketing list, build your social media followings, build all of that for sure. Don't just stay on Etsy. But Etsy was a huge blessing to our family in those early days. I had no idea what Shopify even was when I started, but I knew what Etsy was. And I knew that there were shoppers on Etsy. And so that quick, just turnkey, ready to go business that they offer when you can have a storefront. Even now, Etsy has something I can't remember the name of. I think it's called Pattern, where it looks like a standalone website, but it's hosted on Etsy. I haven't done that, but I've had friends that have. So it has a few more customizations than the Etsy.com website would. You could try that, but I would still encourage people the goal should be to move towards your own store, towards your own domain, your own website. But Etsy is a great way to get up and running quickly. And it's also a great way to get quick customer feedback and know what you want to tweak before you invest a ton of money into more product or to a bigger website.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great way to test the idea. Like you're saying, and Etsy does give you, because of their search engine, people are going there looking for things that might be like your product. It's an easy way to for customers rather, to find you. I know for me, I have an Etsy shop, Amy. I don't know if you knew that. It's mugs. Yeah, it's and it's the ultimate side hustle of mine. But that made sense for me to do on Etsy, because it's even though I do have my own business and that email list and my own website, I'm literally marketing to and being found by people who would never have found me on Google for that. And, that sort of thing. It's I'm able to advertise to the people without even paying for ads who are searching for that specific thing on Etsy. So love your answer to that. Okay. I want to know too, you have made your own category with Lippy Clip, a different, its own product. It's that type of thing. Do you have any advice for others who are I'm an inventor, I want to do the same? Maybe specifically in the lower ticket category, because Lippy Clip is it's around $10, right?
$10 retail.
Yeah, which is you built such a huge business too with a $10 product, which is just amazing. But what would you say to someone who is trying to do the same as an inventor and in that even that price range?
Yeah. Well, I would say, first of all, if you think that you can't make a really good money off of a small, lower value, lower price point product, you're wrong, because you can. You just have to sell a lot of them. And so we've done that through diversifying sales channels and also putting wholesale and retail together. My business would not be sustainable on wholesale alone or on retail alone. It has to have both. It's a multi-pillared business, as I would call it. It's got so many different levels and layers and sales channels. And that's really important if you're selling a product that is in the lower cost range like mine. But as far as paving your own way, if you're inventing a product, I would say a couple of things. I would say, first of all, trademark early. Trademark as soon as you can afford it. Trademark quickly. Get your name. If you qualify for a patent, get that. Put all the intellectual property in place that you can, because it is going to protect you later on. Nobody ever regrets trademarking or patenting a product that they've been successful with. It's one of the smartest ways you can protect yourself. I would also say, learn SEO, learn your keywords. That's something that I had to learn all just completely by Googling and listening to people who are smarter than me, of learning what are people searching for, looking at your Google Analytics, looking through all of that and just figuring out where are people finding me, things that I maybe didn't think they would be searching for, but they're searching for it. And then thirdly, which applies to so many businesses, is just know your audience. Know who your audience is. Speak to them. Every time you write copy, you're speaking to your audience, you're speaking to your target customer, and then know what other brands are in your niche that you can work with. We have so many other friends. I mean, I have friends who've personally been on Shark Tank for things they've invented. And so just talking with them about that, and then collaborating with them on giveaways or, social media posting or email cross posting or cross sharing on our email list, just things like that. So watching those brands, we talk a lot about how we are a simple yet clever product, how we make women's lives easier so they don't have to search for things they need. So I think, what other businesses out there are doing that? What other businesses are making women's lives easier with a small product? And so I think about my friend who invented this jewelry holder that has a patented lock that won't lose your rings or your earrings. And so working with her, thinking about my friends that made the bangle keychains, things like that. Like, I look around, what other businesses are doing what I'm doing. And that's also where wholesale is really helpful, because I can look at my stores and I can say, what other products are you selling next to mine? And how can I collaborate with those business owners? How can I collaborate with that brand? Because obviously you're targeting the same customer with these two products. And so how can I collaborate with that brand? And that really gives you a lot of cross promotion and just good friendships. In this world of business, friendships are invaluable with other business owners.
That's great advice. And with the trademarking, patenting, all of that, how have you dealt with, or have you had to deal with, people knocking off your creation and competitors in that sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've dealt with that a lot. I would say, trademark early and protect what you can, for sure. And then, I've just had so many moments where I've had to just say, Lord, this is your business. You started it. I've worked my tail off, yes, but it's always been in your hands ultimately. And I'm just going to trust you. I'm going to trust you that you're going to sustain it for as long as my family needs it. And you're going to carry me through this. You're going to carry me through the situation. You're going to carry me through the duration of this entire business. And so I think ultimately just trusting. But then secondly, I think I had to learn very early on just to keep my head down. Just keep my head down and mind my own business. And I don't look at a lot of competition. I don't research it. I don't study them. I just really focus on, how can I be the best business owner I can? How can I make Lippy Clip the best experience for our customers? How can I offer something that a competitor can't? How can I offer that? And whether that's through shipping services or customer service or, add-ons or freebies in their package or a variety of styles that other competitors don't offer, how can I offer something they can't? But ultimately, I think it's hard. It's hard on your emotions. It's hard on your mindset. But just keep your head down. Keep your head down and keep doing what you're doing. I would not have been in this business 11 years if I had let it get to me early on.
Yes. So many people listening need to hear that, because that's like, you can get so wrapped up in that sort of stuff to where you don't actually pay attention to your own customers and your own business and what you're creating, because you're just so absorbed in like what other people are creating. So I love that advice of trusting God in it and keeping your head down. One question I have for you is, with the $10 price range, which I know you have some that are higher than that and lower as well, I believe. But do you have any ways that you're increasing average order amount for your customers with it being a lower cost for when you're doing direct to consumer?
Right. So a free shipping threshold is really important. And so right now for us, that's $49. So trying to get those customers, that's, on average 5 products. If they get 5 products, they get free shipping. Our products are really lightweight and really small. And so that works to our advantage in that shipping doesn't cost us a ton per order. So we're able to offer that free shipping at $49. At that point, the profit margin has made enough that I can offer the free shipping. So I would say that's really important. We do offer some bundle packages and some bulk discounts. We see a lot of people take advantage of those closer to the holidays. If they're ordering 10 or more, 20 or more, 30 or more, sometimes that's for, we'll see sometimes PTA presidents come in and want to order it for their entire teaching staff, or had a nurse manager who wanted to order it for her whole unit of nurses, or different things like that. Well, some baseball teams, dance teams, they'll come in and order big orders. And so trying to get that up, and then just getting the word out that this is a great gift for a lot of people. And so really encouraging people, don't just order one at a time, order a lot. Yeah. That helps us and it helps them.
There were a few Christmases ago that I bulk bought from you.
Yes.
And I gave everyone a lippy clip as part of their Christmas gift. And it was it's a great gift. And it everyone gets so excited about it. So I get how, and I knew you did that of the threshold for free shipping. And that makes sense because if you do just have constant only $10 orders, that does make it hard to get there. And then obviously I know wholesale would be another way for you that you're getting it up there. Okay, one question I have too. I keep saying one question I have. I wanted to ask you about this because, and you might even remember this even differently than I do, but I remember a few years ago on the Lippy Clip social media, you were still the one actively managing it the most. And you would be posting Amy's personal life and Lippy Clip product kind of side by side. So it's here you are at your child's sports game and now here's promoting. And then at some point you decided I'm going to separate this, and you have a personal Instagram and you have the Lippy Clip Instagram. How did you end up making that decision? And how did you know it was the right move at that time?
Yeah. So no, you're right. You're remembering it correctly. I think it started when I was doing a lot of local Bible studies at my church and my community, and I wanted to put the link to them. In at that time, we only got link in bio if you were under 10,000. And so I didn't have the link or the swipe up as it used to be, remember? But I wanted to put the link, and I didn't feel like I wanted everybody on the Lippy Clip coming or having access to that address. Sometimes it was at a personal home. And so sometimes it was that reason. Sometimes it was the fact that my kids are getting older. And so my kids are going to graduate high school and have a social media presence already just through my platform or through my posting. And I wanted to be really aware of where their picture was going. So some of it was for that reason. But I think ultimately the biggest reason is it's kind of similar to what you were just talking about with your Etsy shop and having your website design shop. They're very different audiences. And I just realized that I have a lot of friends who buy Lippy Clips, and a lot of my Lippy Clip customers have become friends. Yes, that's true. But in general, they're very different audiences. And I wanted to be able, especially with going to seminary, I wanted to be able to talk about theological things and spiritual things on mine. And then I wanted to be able to just let Lippy Clip just be what it is. It's just Lippy Clips. And that's great. That's what we're known for. And I wanted our audience had gotten so much bigger and so much broader. And I wanted it just to be Lippy Clips. And also I was letting some of my team manage the Instagram account. And so a lot of times when friends were messaging me through the Lippy Clip account, my team was trying to figure out, is this a personal friend or does this person know Amy? And I was having to jump on. So it just made more sense for us logistically. I think for some businesses, it's fine to leave it together. I think for some businesses, it's great to separate it. I think it's just a case-by-case basis. And so that's just what we decided. But there's no right or wrong answer for anybody.
I feel like for you, the right answer was separating it because Lippy Clip is bigger than you.
Right.
And it's not a personal brand business, right?
Right.
We actually, you get to the point where you're selling it. It has nothing to do with you, Amy.
Right.
So I think for you, it's it made sense to separate it. So often though, a lot of people listening do have online digital product based businesses. And it's so often personal brand is everything. And I think it's wise to know when it might be smart to separate your personal brand from the product, the business side. So I feel like I can even think back to that time for you and be I bet you saw a lot of growth when you said, I'm going to treat these two accounts differently.
Mm-hmm. We did. I mean, the same way that we said when we said in that Etsy shop many, many years ago, we said we're only going to do lippy clips. We saw great growth because people were like, oh, well, this is what you're about. This is how people always gravitate to what they know, like, and trust. And so it just enabled that trust factor for people to say, I can trust this. She's only going to sell lippy clips because that's her name. And the same thing was true for the Instagram accounts was I can trust that I'm only going to see lippy clips on her lippy clip page. I have a rule. My team knows my rule. You don't put a picture on our grid unless there's a lippy clip in it. Like we don't do that. Like you have to have a lippy clip in it somewhere. It has to have a lippy clip in it because that's the name of the account. Yeah. And occasionally I'll cross post over to my personal Instagram profile if we're having a sale or it's Small Business Saturday. I'll mention something on personal just because my friends like to support me, but it's not the primary purpose of my personal account.
Yeah, that's great. So for people who are thinking about starting a product-based business, I know you started, like we've said, you had a little bit of everything and then you niched down to like, I'm only selling this product, and now you have other versions of that as well. But do you think it's a good idea to go all in on like one product from the beginning, or are you glad that you started with more diversity in your product offerings and then niche down?
I mean, I'm glad I started with the wide variety and then we niche down. I think I learned a lot. I learned a lot about listening to my customers and what do they actually want? What are they asking for? And that's even happened as we've grown, is they've said, oh, we want, bigger sizes, or we want this, or we want that. Or like in 2020, when we came out with the Sandy clip, everybody was asking for hand sanitizer holders. So, it just listening to your customers is key. I'm grateful for my story. I think that you never know what's going to be successful. If you had asked me 12 years ago, of all these products, pick which one would be the most successful and is going to build you this business that's going to last 10 plus years. I'm pretty sure the lippy clip would have been at the bottom of the list. I don't think I would have thought about it, but I do think it lends itself to that mindset of your product has to solve a problem. So whether that's a digital problem, a physical problem, a mental or spiritual problem, like your product has to solve a problem. And so I think that's why the lippy clip has been so successful, is because it solves a problem as first world or as meaningless or as little as it may seem for some people. It solves a problem. We have people tell us all the time that they actually got to the bottom of the tube of their lip balm for the first time in their life. Or they'll say, things like, my kid has not lost his lip balm. My kid lost his lip balm every single day at school for a year. And then I got him a lippy clip and now he doesn't lose it. And so things like that, like, is it changing the world? Probably not, but it's solving their problem and it's a sustainable business model for us.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it is, you're also, though, you're contributing jobs and helping your family. I mean, you're doing so much with the company, and I love mine as well. And it's a great gift for everyone. Okay. I have a few rapid fire questions for you to close us out. First one, what's a pinch me moment for you in your business journey?
Oh, there's so many. Doing Business Boutique with you was definitely a pinch me moment.
That's one of my pinch me's too.
Yeah, for sure. So grateful for Christy Wright and her team and all of that. But we did the Atlanta wholesale market, which if you've never done that or never seen that, it's an enormous, 25 floors of market. And so we did that in a couple of years ago with my sister. That was a blast. But I think I would say one of my recent pinch me moments is last December, we opened up the Lippy Clip office to the general public, and we did a holiday shopping open house. And it was a lot of fun. It was fun to have the office open. It's normally closed. We're just a shipping facility, but we got it really pretty and opened it up to the public. And so many people came by from the community. But the best part was that my daughter came and worked it with me, and she's 13. That's awesome. And so just having her there, and it was just really sweet knowing that I started this business when she was 2 or 3, and now she's 13 working this, Saturday open house with me. It was really, really sweet. So that would be a pinch me moment for sure.
I love that. Yeah. I have a follow-up to your pinch me moment. How is it now that, having kids more teenage age versus when they were younger, like business stuff? Like, how do you feel like it's changed, or what's different now as a parent to like older kids?
Yeah, it's different. I think I can be a lot more open with them about profit margins, or when we went through a lot of supply chain delays, post-COVID, that I was really honest with them about that. They can understand that. They have a greater sense of understanding. They also have a greater appreciation for what the business can do. And when we have really good years and we can do vacations or fun trips or things like that, they understand that that's because of the business. That's because we have this income. I think for me, it's a different mindset of, I'm thinking now I've got a kid. I mean, in 4 years, I'll have a senior in high school and a child in college. And so for me, thinking about how can this business be portable? And if I want to go visit my child in college for, a weekend, how can I make sure that things are portable, that I can take it with me? Just what does it look like for that? So I think it shifts from getting things done while they're at school, which I still very much try to work while they're at school, but it shifts from that to also talking with them openly about things as much as they want, or as much as I want them to understand. My daughter loves to give lippy clips to her friends. So every birthday party, she's like, I need a lippy clip for this girl, or, for this event, we need lippy clips for this. So it's sweet to see them do that too. They have a greater investment in it. Because it's all they've ever known. My kids barely remember me being a nurse. They remember a little bit of me working night shift, but they really, really remember Lippy Clip a lot.
Yeah, it's fun for them to get to be proud of their mama and her business. Oh. That's really cool. Okay, what's one unpopular opinion you have about growing a product-based business?
I think what we've already talked about, stay on Etsy. Don't think that you're too good for Etsy. I mean, I think so many times people have told me, you just need to get off of Etsy. And I'm like, but why? I get sales there every day. Why would I do that? So don't think that you have to leave Etsy. Don't think that you've outgrown platforms that are still making you money.
Yeah. Having a presence more places is like, it's always
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, love that. Okay, I know I've heard you refer to Lippy Clip as like an impulse buy, an impulse purchase, that kind of category. What was your last impulse purchase that you loved?
Oh, I was thinking about this, and I am not a trendy person. Like, you guys just need to know, I'm a plain Jane kind of girl. But I bought one of those crossbody sling purse things.
Oh.
And like the hands-freeness of it, and not having it like way down one shoulder more than the
goes,
other.
Like you're saying, like goes over like
that.
Yeah,
where it goes across, or you can wear it on the front. Like, so when we go to we live in Orlando, so of course we go to the theme parks. So when we go to the theme park, I can wear it on the front of my body, so it's more secure. And then when I'm, at the store, grocery store, whatever, I can put it on the back. And those things are cool. I mean, I was the first one that was like, why are they wearing a fanny pack across their chest? But then I realized those are really so cool.
In right now too.
They are.
You're right that they are. I don't have one, but yeah, as you're like talking, I'm like, at first I was like, wait, what is she talking about? I'm like, oh wait, no, I can totally visualize what you mean. Yeah, I feel like I see those with like moms at playgrounds a lot because of that reason.
They're super handy.
Hands-free.
Yeah, I was a purse girl, a big purse girl. I was that girl who always had the big bag that had the Mary Poppins type bag in it. And man, I might be converted over to this crossbody sling thing. That's pretty cool.
I love that. Okay, Amy, tell everyone where they can find you, where they can find Lippy Clip and all that good stuff.
Sure. Okay. Lippy Clip is just lippyclip.com. Lippy Clip on Instagram. And if you want to follow me personally on Instagram, I'm Amy M. Gabriel.
Awesome. Yes. And we'll link all that up. Everyone needs to check out Lippy Clip. I mean, as we air this, we're going to be close to Mother's Day, I believe, when I'm planning to air this. So that would be a great gift for your mom, mother-in-law, other women.
They're great for beach bags too. If you're going to the beach this summer or on a vacation, they're great to put on everybody's bag. So you're not sharing lip balm. That's what I tell people all the time.
Yeah.
Don't want to be sharing lip balm. You need to have your own so that you don't spread germs.
Yes. Well, Amy, thank you so much. It's been wonderful getting to chat.
So good to see you again.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast today and for staying until the end. I appreciate you being here. And if you enjoyed this episode, then I want to invite you to check out my online course and coaching program for designers, Booked Out Designer. In this program, I teach you how to build a successful in-demand booked out business as a designer. You'll learn everything from the exact experience I take my clients through to things like figuring out your niche, mastering discovery calls, pricing your services for profit, creating contracts that will not cause solves you legal troubles, and my exact social media strategies to book clients. You even get to watch recordings of me in actual meetings with my actual clients so you can really learn through what you're seeing. We take things you're learning on this podcast and so many topics I never even cover on this show and deep dive into them. So in addition to the amazing course, the course is 9 modules of teaching with over 90 lessons. You get group coaching calls with me and access to an exclusive Facebook community of designers just like you. And fun fact, this isn't one of those kind of Facebook groups where the founder never comments on posts or you never see them in there. You'll find me there all the time, ready to help you out with any business question you have. So to get info on the course and to see when the doors will be opening again, head to elizabethmccravey.com/BOD, short for booked out designer. I hope to be able to coach you and teach you inside of the course soon. And don't forget that you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening so that you never miss an episode. And a great way to support the show is to leave a rating and a review, share it with a friend, share it on social media. All of that will help get the word out. All right, I'll see you again next week.